Welcome to Stairway to English. In today's listening and reading practice, we explore the powerful wisdom of Aristotle, the master of persuasion. You'll learn how ethos, logos, and pathos can transform your communication and inspire others. Listen carefully, read along, and improve your English while discovering timeless lessons about the art of influence. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring English learning videos every day. Let's begin. Episode 1: The Ancient Secret of Persuasion. More than 2,000 years ago, in ancient Greece, a wise philosopher named Aristotle asked a powerful question. Why do people believe what they hear? He wanted to understand how words could move hearts, change opinions, and even shape the future. From this question, he discovered something timeless: the art of persuasion. Persuasion means using language to convince someone. But Aristotle didn't see it as manipulation. He saw it as a science, an art, and a way to share truth clearly. He believed that if you could speak with reason, emotion, and character, you could change the world. His ideas still guide politicians, teachers, leaders, and speakers today. Aristotle called his method rhetoric, the study of how to speak and write in a powerful way. To him, every great speech had three main elements: ethos, pathos, and logos. These are not just Greek words, they are the keys to understanding how humans think and feel. Ethos means trust. It's about the speaker's character. When you speak with honesty, knowledge, and confidence, people believe you. For example, a doctor talking about health has ethos. A teacher explaining history also has ethos because people see them as experts. Pathos means emotion. This is the heart of persuasion. People don't just think, they feel. When a story makes you sad, happy, or inspired, it touches your emotions. If a speaker can make you feel something, you're more likely to agree or take action. Think of a charity ad showing a hungry child. That's pathos at work. Logos means logic. It's the use of facts, numbers, and reason. It appeals to the brain. When you explain things clearly and logically, people understand and trust your argument. For example, if someone says, regular exercise lowers heart disease by 40%, that's logos. Aristotle believed that real persuasion comes when these three work together. If you only use logic, people may not care. If you only use emotion, they might not trust you. But if you combine ethos, pathos, and logos, your words become powerful and complete. In ancient Athens, this skill was more than useful. It was essential. People gathered in public squares to debate ideas, vote, and make laws. To be heard, you needed to speak well. Young men studied rhetoric as seriously as mathematics. Aristotle himself taught at his school, the Lyceum, where he trained students in philosophy, science, and the art of public speaking. He told them, know your audience, speak with truth, use reason and heart together. To him, communication was not only about words, it was about connecting souls. He said that persuasion begins when the speaker truly understands both the message and the listener. Aristotle also warned against using persuasion for selfish or harmful purposes. He believed that great power with words, must come with great responsibility. Rhetoric, he said, is the counterpart of truth. That means it should be used to reveal truth, not to hide it. Today, even after 2,000 years, we see Aristotle's influence everywhere. Every advertisement, every speech, every story that moves people follows his three elements, whether the speaker knows it or not. A good commercial uses pathos to make you feel. A politician uses ethos to appear trustworthy. A scientist uses logos to explain facts. So, next time you listen to someone speaking or see an ad online, think about Aristotle's Trilogy. Ask yourself, are they using ethos, pathos, or logos? Or all three? Persuasion is not magic. It's understanding human nature. Aristotle understood that people believe those they trust, those who touch their hearts, and those who speak with reason. The art of persuasion is still alive today. It shapes our thoughts, choices, and actions, often without us even realizing it. By learning to recognize it, we also learn to protect ourselves from manipulation and to communicate more wisely. In the next episode, we will explore ethos more deeply, how to build trust and credibility when you speak, and why your character is your strongest argument. The power to persuade starts with truth, and as Aristotle taught, truth spoken with wisdom is the greatest power of all. Episode 2. Ethos. The Power of Character and Trust. When Aristotle explained persuasion, he began with ethos. He said that a person's character is the strongest tool in communication. You can have beautiful words and smart ideas, but if people don't trust you, they will not listen. Ethos is the part of persuasion that answers the question, why should I believe you? Ethos comes from the Greek word for character. It's about your honesty, your behavior, and the respect others have for you. When you have strong ethos, people feel safe with your words. They believe you speak from truth, not from lies or manipulation. In every part of life, in business, teaching, friendship, and leadership, ethos is the invisible force that opens hearts and minds. Aristotle noticed that people don't only listen to what is said, they also look at who is saying it. If a kind and honest person gives advice, you will probably accept it. But if the same advice comes from someone who lies often, you will doubt it. So, building ethos means building a good reputation and showing moral integrity. Let's imagine a simple example. A new teacher begins his first class. The students watch him carefully. His words matter, but his tone, body language, and attitude matter even more. If he looks nervous, rude, or unsure, the students may lose trust. But if he speaks clearly, treats everyone fairly, and shows he truly cares, then he gains their respect. That is ethos in action, trust built through behavior. Aristotle explained that there are three parts of ethos: wisdom, virtue, and goodwill. Wisdom means showing knowledge and understanding. Virtue means showing honesty and strong moral values. Goodwill means showing kindness and care for others. Together, these create a powerful and believable speaker. 1. Wisdom, phronesis. People trust those who know what they're talking about. If you speak about health, you should understand it well. If you discuss history, you should know the facts. But wisdom isn't only knowledge. It's the ability to apply that knowledge with fairness. A wise person doesn't just share information. They help others see clearly. 2. Virtue, arete. A person with virtue is honest, kind, and fair. You can feel when someone has a pure heart. They don't use words to cheat or harm. Instead, they speak to help and guide. Aristotle believed that true persuasion could never come from lies. Virtue builds long-term respect. 3. Goodwill, eunoia. This is about showing that you care for your audience. If people feel that you want the best for them, they will listen to you. Imagine a friend giving advice. You trust them because you feel their care, not because they are perfect. Goodwill makes communication human and emotional. To Aristotle, ethos wasn't something you could fake. People can sense when someone is pretending. Real ethos takes time. It grows from consistent behavior. Every action, every promise kept, every truth spoken adds to your ethos. That's why good leaders work hard to live with honesty. Their words carry weight because their lives prove their integrity. Think of someone like Mahatma Gandhi. His power didn't come from wealth or armies, but from his moral strength. People believed him because he lived what he taught: peace, truth, and humility. His ethos was so strong that it moved millions to follow his path. Even today, in the modern world, ethos is still what separates good communicators from great ones. Social media, for example, is full of people sharing opinions, but only those who are consistent, honest, and respectful earn lasting trust. A strong ethos builds a strong connection. Ethos is also about how you present yourself. Your tone of voice, your choice of words, and even your facial expressions create an image. Speaking calmly, listening to others, and admitting when you don't know something, these are signs of credibility. Confidence is important, but arrogance destroys ethos. When you speak with humility and truth, people open their minds. When you try to appear superior or fake, they close them. Aristotle taught that persuasion is not domination, it is cooperation. You and your audience work together to reach truth. So, how can we build ethos in our own lives? It starts with small actions. Keep your promises. Speak truth, even when it's hard. Respect everyone, even those who disagree with you. Continue learning. Wisdom grows when curiosity stays alive. Let your actions support your words. Over time, these actions shape your reputation and strengthen your voice. When people trust you, your words gain power. You don't need to shout or force your message. It will naturally reach their hearts. Aristotle said that ethos is like a light. It shines through your words and behavior. Without it, persuasion is weak. With it, your message becomes powerful and lasting. In the next episode, we will explore Pathos, the art of touching emotions, how feelings can move people to act, believe, and change their lives. Because, as Aristotle knew, humans are not just thinkers, they are feelers. And when emotion meets truth, persuasion becomes art. Episode 3. Pathos, the language of emotion. Aristotle's second pillar of persuasion is pathos, the art of appealing to emotions. If ethos builds trust, Pathos touches the heart. It is what makes people feel something: joy, sadness, fear, hope, or love. Aristotle understood that humans are not only logical creatures. We make decisions based on feelings as much as facts. That's why great speakers, writers, and leaders know how to reach both the mind and the heart. When someone says, "I understand how you feel," a bridge is built between two people. That bridge is pathos. It allows the listener to connect deeply with the speaker's message. Without emotion, words can feel cold and distant. But when emotion enters, communication becomes alive. Think about your favorite movie or book. What makes it powerful? The emotion behind the story. Pathos gives meaning to experience. Imagine a doctor speaking to a patient about quitting smoking. If the doctor says only, "Smoking is bad for your health," the words are true, but they might not inspire change. But if the doctor adds, "Think about how your children want you to live a long life," the message becomes emotional. The patient now feels the reason to change. That is pathos in action, logic supported by emotion. Aristotle believed that emotions can move people more strongly than reason alone. He taught that a good speaker must know what emotions exist, what causes them, and how to awaken them in others. But he also warned that emotions must be used wisely. Manipulation destroys credibility, while sincerity builds it. Pathos works only when it is honest. So, what kinds of emotions did Aristotle study? He spoke about many: anger, pity, fear, confidence, love, and joy. Each emotion can serve a purpose in communication. For example, anger can be used to inspire action against injustice. Pity can open hearts toward compassion and kindness. Fear can warn and protect people from danger. Confidence can motivate others to believe in themselves. Love can unite people and inspire cooperation. A skilled communicator doesn't use emotions randomly. They use them to guide understanding. Just like a musician plays different notes to create harmony, a speaker uses emotion to create connection. Let's look at history. When Martin Luther King Jr. said, "I have a dream," his words were not filled with numbers or facts. They were filled with hope and vision. He made people feel the pain of injustice and the beauty of equality. His pathos changed minds and moved hearts around the world. His dream became everyone's dream because he spoke through emotion. But pathos isn't only for great leaders, it's for everyone. Every day, we try to persuade others. A parent convincing a child to study, a friend giving advice, or a teacher inspiring students all use emotion. The secret is to be real. People can sense fake emotion. If you pretend to care, they will turn away. If you truly care, they will listen. How do we use pathos correctly? Here are a few ways. Tell stories. A short story with feeling can explain more than a long speech full of facts. Use vivid words. Instead of saying, "He was sad," say, "Tears filled his eyes as he watched the door close." Show empathy. Let people know you understand their struggles. Be passionate. When you speak with energy and conviction, people feel your belief. Aristotle also noticed that emotions depend on timing and audience. What moves one person might not move another. For example, talking about loss to someone who has recently lost a loved one will have a strong effect. But the same story told at the wrong time might feel inappropriate. Knowing when to use emotion is part of wisdom. Pathos can also be seen in art, music, and film. A painting like Van Gogh's Starry Night speaks without words. It moves people through color and shape. A song can make you cry or smile without explaining anything. These are examples of emotional persuasion, pathos beyond speech. However, Aristotle warned that emotion alone isn't enough. A good message needs balance. Too much emotion can feel dramatic or manipulative. Too little emotion can make your message forgettable. The perfect speech or writing uses emotion like salt in food, enough to bring out the flavor, but not so much that it overwhelms. We can also see pathos in marketing and politics today. Advertisements often use emotion to sell happiness, fear, or belonging. Politicians use stories about real people to connect with voters. While these techniques can be powerful, they are only ethical when used with honesty and respect. At its heart, pathos reminds us that humans need feeling to act. We donate to help others because we feel compassion. We fight for justice because we feel anger at unfairness. We follow dreams because we feel hope. Emotion gives life direction. So, if you want to inspire others, don't just share information, share your feelings. Speak from the heart, not only the mind. People may forget your words, but they will never forget how you made them feel. As Aristotle said, to move others, you must first be moved yourself. In the next episode, we will explore logos, the third part of Aristotle's trilogy, the power of reason and logic. Because while emotion touches the heart, logic guides the mind toward truth. Episode 4. The Power of Pathos, Speaking to the Heart. When Aristotle wrote about persuasion, he did not only talk about logic and credibility. He also spoke about emotion, what he called pathos. Pathos is about touching the listener's heart. It means using stories, feelings, and emotional language to make people connect deeply with your message. Aristotle believed that humans are not only rational beings, they are also emotional. If you want to move people to action, you must reach their hearts, not only their minds. Imagine you are listening to a speaker who talks about helping the poor. If that person only shares numbers and statistics, you may understand the problem, but you might not feel motivated to act. But if the speaker tells a story about a hungry child, her dreams, and her courage to survive, suddenly you feel something powerful inside. You want to help. That is the magic of pathos. It transforms information into emotion. It turns logic into action. Aristotle explained that emotion can come in many forms: sadness, joy, anger, hope, or even fear. The skill of persuasion is to choose the right emotion for the right situation. For example, when leaders talk to their citizens in times of crisis, they often use words of hope and unity. When activists want to raise awareness about injustice, they may use strong emotional stories that make people feel anger or compassion. Pathos gives life to words. It makes a message unforgettable. Let's think of some famous examples. When Martin Luther King Jr. said, "I have a dream," He was not giving statistics, he was giving people a vision that made them feel. His speech was full of emotional images: children, freedom, equality. These images created hope and connection. Another example is when a brand advertises not just a product, but a feeling. A perfume ad may not talk about ingredients. Instead, it shows romance, confidence, or adventure. That is pathos in modern communication, making people feel before they think. But using emotion requires balance. Too much emotion can seem fake or manipulative. If a speaker cries or exaggerates too much, the audience may lose trust. That's why Aristotle said pathos should always be combined with ethos, credibility, and logos, logic. Emotion alone is not enough. It must support truth and reason. When these three elements work together, persuasion becomes truly powerful. So, how can you use pathos in your own communication? First, use stories. People remember stories much more than facts. Tell personal experiences or examples that show emotion. For instance, if you want to persuade someone to study English, don't just say, "It's important." Tell a story about how learning English changed someone's life, helped them travel, or opened new opportunities. Second, use emotional language, words that describe feelings, colors, sounds, and senses. Instead of saying, "It was a difficult time," you could say, "It felt like walking in a dark tunnel with no light ahead." This makes people feel your words. Third, use tone and rhythm in your speech. The way you speak can express emotion even more than your words. A calm, slow voice can show sincerity. A passionate, energetic tone can show excitement. Repetition can make emotions stronger. For example, saying, "We will rise again," "We will rebuild," "We will not give up," creates emotional power through rhythm. Aristotle would have loved this technique. It is music for the heart and mind. Another way to use pathos is through empathy. When you show that you understand the feelings of others, people feel closer to you. They listen because they feel understood. For instance, if you are a teacher and you tell your students, "I know learning a new language can be frustrating. I've been there too." You connect emotionally. That moment of empathy builds trust. It is not only persuasion, it is human connection. Finally, remember that true pathos comes from sincerity. If you speak from your heart, your audience will feel it. You don't need to be dramatic, you just need to be real. People can sense authenticity. They can feel when words are honest. And honest emotion always persuades more deeply than fake passion. Aristotle's idea of pathos is still alive today in speeches, movies, advertisements, and conversations. Whenever someone makes you laugh, cry, or feel inspired through words, you are experiencing pathos. It is the emotional art of persuasion, and it works because it speaks to what makes us human. In the next and final episode, we will see how Aristotle's three elements, ethos, logos, and pathos, come together to create timeless persuasion. When they unite, they form a perfect balance between mind, body, and soul, the true art of communication. Episode 5: The Harmony of Ethos, Logos, and Pathos, the Timeless Art of Persuasion. Aristotle's theory of persuasion was more than a set of techniques. It was a deep understanding of how human communication works. In his view, persuasion is not just about speaking well. It is about connecting truth, reason, and emotion into one powerful harmony. The three elements he described, ethos, logos, and pathos, are like three strings on a musical instrument. Alone, each has its sound, but together they create a complete melody that can move hearts and change minds. Let's begin with a short reminder. Ethos is your character, the trust people have in you. Logos is your logic, the clear and reasonable argument you make. Pathos is your emotion, the way you touch your listener's heart. Aristotle believed that every successful speech or message must include all three. Without ethos, your words are not believable. Without logos, your message is not clear. Without pathos, your audience does not feel connected. Only when these three work together can persuasion truly happen. Imagine you are listening to a doctor giving a talk about healthy living. If the doctor has years of experience and speaks with calm confidence, you trust them. That's ethos. When they show scientific evidence about nutrition, you understand the logic. That's logos. And when they share emotional stories about patients who changed their lives through better habits, you feel inspired. That's pathos. In that moment, the three powers of persuasion work together perfectly. You believe, understand, and feel. That is Aristotle's harmony. In our daily lives, we use these three elements more often than we realize. When you are trying to convince your friend to start exercising, you might say, "You'll feel better and live longer." That's logos. You might remind them that you care about their health. That's pathos. And if you are someone who exercises regularly, your own behavior adds ethos to your words. Even in small conversations, Aristotle's wisdom is present. Persuasion is not manipulation. It is the art of guiding others toward truth and good decisions. Great leaders, teachers, and communicators have always followed this rule, sometimes without even knowing it. Think about Abraham Lincoln, who combined moral character, ethos, clear reasoning, logos, and deep compassion, pathos, in his speeches. Think about modern speakers like Malala Yousafzai or Nelson Mandela. Their words changed the world not because they shouted louder, but because they spoke with balance, truth, logic, and emotion together. Aristotle's Trilogy also teaches us something deeper about ourselves. It shows that we are complex beings, emotional, rational, and moral at the same time. We need all three parts to live well and communicate effectively. If we only use logic, we become cold and distant. If we only use emotion, we may lose control and reason. If we only rely on our image or authority, we may become proud and disconnected. But when we balance these parts, we become complete. We speak not only to the mind or heart, but to the whole person. This balance is useful in every area, from public speaking to writing, from leadership to everyday conversation. If you are a student, you can use ethos by showing honesty and effort, logos by giving clear arguments, and pathos by showing enthusiasm and care. If you are a professional, you can use all three to make your ideas stronger and your relationships deeper. Even in friendship, persuasion happens. When we understand how to speak with empathy, logic, and integrity, we build trust and harmony. In the digital world, Aristotle's wisdom is more important than ever. Today, we are surrounded by voices, advertisements, influencers, social media posts, and news. Many of them use pathos. They try to make us feel something. Others use logos, giving us facts and data. But very few show real ethos, honesty, character, and respect. Aristotle's model reminds us to look for balance. Before we believe or share something, we should ask, is it logical? Is it true? Does it come from a trustworthy source? In this way, his ancient philosophy helps us live wisely in the modern world. Learning to persuade is also learning to understand people. It teaches us to listen, to care, and to express ourselves with purpose. It helps us become better communicators, but also better human beings. Aristotle did not teach persuasion as a tool for control. He saw it as a bridge, a way to connect souls through words. When we use persuasion with honesty, empathy, and reason, we create understanding and peace. So, what can we take from Aristotle's Rhetorical Trilogy today? The lesson is simple but timeless. Speak with integrity, think with clarity, and feel with compassion. Whether you are giving a speech, writing a letter, or just having a conversation, remember the three voices inside you: ethos, logos, and pathos. Let them work together in harmony. That is how you make your words truly powerful. In the end, persuasion is not about winning arguments. It is about sharing truth in a way that others can receive it. It is about moving both the mind and the heart. That is the art Aristotle gave to the world, a gift that still lives every time someone uses words to inspire change, to teach, or to bring hope. And that is why the art of persuasion will never die. It is part of who we are.